First item, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item is the minutes of this committee's meeting held Monday, February 22nd. The recommendation is to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second. Any errors and omissions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item, please.
Next item is a delegation. I'd like to invite a member from the Vancouver Area Cycling Coalition to come forward to speak to Bike to Work Week.
Hello there.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Erin. I am the manager of the Bike to Work program with the Vancouver Area Cycling Coalition. And since 2007, we've been hosting Bike to Work Week. It's a region-wide friendly competition and celebration of cycling for transportation. This year, we want to develop our partnership with the City of Coquitlam a little bit further. Last year, we received in-kind support from the city with tents, tables, and maps. But to continue our program work and make it more effective in the city, funding is requested. This will contribute to promotional, website, program management, and event costs that are central to the event's success. This year includes a spring and fall event scheduled for May 31st to June 6th and November 1st to 7th. In addition to supporting our base costs for the event, funding from the city would allow us to provide full support for the Coquitlam events with staff time dedicated to more Coquitlam commuter stations. The financial partnership would allow us to give the city recognition on our website and print materials and showcase their commitment to sustainable transportation and community building. More complete data collection would be available, including a report at the end of both events with statistics and demographics detailing popular routes, motivation, cycling growth, and a variety of other data specific to Coquitlam. This data has proven very valuable to other partner municipalities in their transportation planning and their environmental benchmarking. We're committed to working with our partner municipalities to collect the most relevant, useful data for their needs, and we look forward to sitting down with staff to discuss locations and data collection. We realize that although many municipalities have cycling as a priority in their transportation and sustainability planning, they do not necessarily have the expertise or resources available for the outreach, events, and supporting tools that guide people to shift to cycling. This is where the Vancouver Area Cycling Coalition has specific skills and experience to deliver these programs on behalf of the city at a much lower cost than in-house development of new cycling programs. Last year, Bike to Work motivated over 8,000 cyclists in Metro Vancouver, 920 of which tried cycling to work for the very first time, and over 1,400 of which tried cycling to work in winter for the very first time. The program has contributed to real increases in cycling, as indicated by our steadily rising participation numbers and the bike traffic seen at commuter stations. Our educational and promotional materials reach 64% of Metro Vancouver residents, informing them about the benefits of transitioning out of single occupancy vehicles and into the healthier, more ecologically and economically friendly mode of cycling. Considering that transportation is responsible for more than 45% of the average British Columbian's household greenhouse gas emissions, there's huge potential to reduce these emissions by encouraging more people to cycle for transportation. Bike to Work and School Week will help the city achieve its Climate Action Charter goals of becoming carbon neutral in 2012 and encouraging active transportation to improve livability. With more Coquitlam residents and employees cycling, the city will realize decreased traffic congestion, improved air quality, healthier citizens, and more productive workers. Cycle commuting has been proven to reduce sick days taken and improve workplace morale and employee retention. Bike to Work and School Week not only offers up information about why one would cycle and how to do it safely and comfortably, it also offers additional motivation and success tracking opportunities. Our innovative website is unlike any other. It offers personal and team challenges, allowing individuals to map their route, log their commutes, and track their progress in personal health and in relation to other workplaces in the region. This friendly competition has proven very effective in attracting new cyclists to the road. During the event week, the VACC sets up commuter stations along popular bike routes. You may have seen some. These stations offer snacks, prizes, mechanical help, cycling resources, and a spot for celebration. Creating the awareness that cyclists are not alone and that they have the right to be on the road is very important in keeping participants riding during and after the event. Many participants report to us that Bike to Work Week gets them back on their bike either after the winter, after an injury, or even after staying away from it since childhood. After that initial catalyst, many continue cycling during the year. In the past, the VACC Tri-Cities Committee has been instrumental in hosting a commuter station at Foster and Poirier in Coquitlam with some in-kind support from the city. This year, we would like to develop our outreach to the community, hold 3 commuter stations, and have the capacity to give the city valuable data on local cycling. In order to fulfill our core program needs and provide these Coquitlam-specific deliverables, we request $3,750 plus the traditional in-kind support from the city for our 2010 programming. From 2001 to 2007, the City of Coquitlam has invested over $5 million in cycling infrastructure. This is a fantastic start on meeting the physical needs of cyclists on the roads. And now it's time to invest in the outreach and motivation to increase actual usage of that infrastructure. Bike to Work in School Week is an ideal program to support people past their perceived barriers to making cycling a regular part of their transportation habits. This can be delivered by VACC in 2010 at 0.4% of the annual costs of infrastructure. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much. Questions? Councillor Reid.
I don't know, is this working?
Okay.
Yes?
I think it is, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. This is probably so mundane a question to ask you, but it's a very big concern for mine because I just about saw 2 people hit on last week when it was rainy and in the cold nights. Is there any way that you, through your organization, can make sure that when people are driving at night in the bike lanes now that we have right along Guildford, and I went to turn on Johnson, which is busy, so you look and you don't see anybody. They don't have lights, they don't have reflectors, they don't have anything. And somehow, for safety's sake, the more we promote bikes, and I'm delighted to do that, but there has to be some responsibility on the biking community to have these safety measures in place. Does your organization do anything with that?
Yes, definitely. And that is actually a big focus of our winter stations. We do it in the spring as well, but because the days are so much longer, it's not as much of a concern. But our November event is very focused on visibility and safety. And at the commuter stations, we give out free lights to anyone that doesn't have them, and we give reflective bands. We talk about the importance of being visible. We also talk about helmets and other safety equipment to make people more safe on their bikes. We have a lot of resources on our website, and we are always directing people to that. And through our promotions, we're also talking on our radio clips and our TV clips about cyclists have a responsibility, just like automobile drivers have a responsibility to be respectful and safe on the roads. So that's definitely a big part.
I'm delighted to continue to support you as long as I get support back on the safety end. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I'm a regular cyclist, so I'm quite familiar with part of what you do. This November, though, is that a new one? The
It would be new
November
to Coquitlam, but it is not new in the region. We started it 2 years ago, so this past November was our second.
Okay, and do you find that in November you get as many people as you do in?
Not quite as many, no. But there's definitely huge growth. There's bigger growth in the November one than in the May one.
Okay.
Because a lot of people just don't like the idea of biking in the rain and in the dark. But with all the education, once they have the gear, it's actually not nearly as bad as they thought.
So I'm also curious because I've cycled to work, not when I worked here, but when I worked in other places and have had to go through other communities. So when you put the stations together, are they sort of on a route so that if I cycled to Vancouver, I would hit a local commuter station here and then another one in Burnaby and another one in Vancouver? Is it sort of...
We try and move them around a bit so that there's not like 5 on one route on the same morning.
Okay.
So we have some in the morning commute time and some in the evening commute time. And we try and disperse them strategically, and we also try and work with the city on exact locations that they might really want to be promoting it. In some other municipalities, they encourage their city halls to actually help host it so that all the councillors and staff can come in and have that little celebration. But in terms of region-wide stuff, we really try and disperse it so that you can hit one, but that you're not hitting
like 5 of them along the way.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Just to let you know, our staff has been working the last couple of years on staff time helping with Bike Week. and they have been working with the local Vancouver Area Coalition, Cycling Coalition in this area on the bike networks and taking their advice. So we are involved with them in the local area, with their help, with our planning, transportation planning. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and we do appreciate that. I just wanted to highlight the need for our core funding that does go out to the region-wide promotions on our website, which is quite innovative but does require some development funding.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda concerns the Strategic Transportation Plan update. It's a progress report and proposed public advisory group members. The staff recommendation is that Council receive the report for information, and 2, that the persons and groups identified in attachment B of the report be appointed to the public advisory group.
Okay.
So moved. I have a question.
Second? Second? Okay, just, yeah. Mr. Suzak, did you have some comments, sir? Before we start.
Just a couple of opening comments. Thanks, Mr. Chair. This is our first check-in of an assignment that Council authorized us to commence late in the fall. A strategic transportation plan is of the same weight and importance to a community as its OCP. And this is coming to you to authorize the public advisory group. And as you can see in the listing, there's a wide variety of organizations and individuals who are interested, and we're gratified that they have stepped up to the plate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Robinson.
I just had one question. As I look through this, I'm also quite pleased to see this wide array of engaged citizens representing different groups. But I realize, and I don't think there's one that exists, but city center business community. It doesn't seem like, I'm assuming there is no merchants association or that's from the city center. We have the chamber there, which is great. We had Austin BIA and the Mayardville Merchants Association, and I was just thinking about Transportation Network, and I don't see anything from City Center,
There is no.
and I know that there is no Merchants Association, but do we have somebody who's at least from the area that represents sort of a city center perspective?
Mr. Chair, I don't know that we've identified a formal person who can do that, but we've got the message that I think you would like us to try to see what we can do to identify a city center, I guess, business type of component. We can reach out and see what we can do about that. It's not as easy as finding someone, say, at Austin Heights, obviously,
right,
or even the Merchants Association in North Road. But we can take that under advisement, and we'll see what we can do.
That's great. I was just thinking about where we have clumps of businesses. We've invited 2, but we don't have anything from here. So if we could find something, that would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Ring.
Thank you. Further to Councillor Robinson's question, mine's very similar. And that pertains to neighborhood resident associations. I see you've got Tom Cox on here, who's with the Westwood Residents Association, Ann Carlson from the North Road BIA. I'm not familiar with the other 4 names. So is there a reason we didn't include our resident associations in this?
No, through the chair, the invitation was open. We had a 2-day open house process where the community was invited to participate. If this committee's wished for us to do a better outreach to the community and residents association, we can do that. As the general manager has pointed out, we have Mayardville, we've got Austin Heights, we have UDI. And various representation already, and also the North Road Merchant Association. But if you want us to include, and we don't have an organization which we can sort of communicate, which has a sort of an umbrella function of all the residents association. So, but if you want us to communicate that directly to to such an organization, we can.
Well, for instance, I don't see anybody here from the northeast. There's a Burke Mountain Naturalists, but they're a different type of group. I don't see I am not, as I say, I'm not familiar with the last four names on here, so I'm not sure where they're from, but I think that looking at our residents associations, that we ought to be sending them maybe a direct invitation. Thank you.
Mr.
Sure.
Sousa?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. We'll certainly take that as direction. We can ensure that all resident associations that are registered, if you will, with the city will receive all of the material. Keep them directly informed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reid?
Yeah, there is a Town Centre Residents Association, and there is an Eagle Ridge Residents Association. There is a Coquitlam one, there is a Southeast one, and there is a Ranch Park one. So what I would suggest, though, when you're dealing with them is, I know Rob Innes has all their names and addresses, but perhaps you can ask for one of their members who is more interested in transportation to come on board, because I think it's something you have to understand. I don't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess I had the concerns about the Northeast and some of the, but I guess the other concern for staff is you've got an 18-person committee right now. And so do we look at moving this list forward, or is council saying they want to relook at this list? Because we're going to get into 20, 24 people, becomes very large and unwieldy of a committee. So should we be relooking at the appointments that we're recommending moving forward here with the comments about residents associations? Councillor Robinson.
Just to follow up on that, in the terms of reference on the second page, it lists actually up to 25 is sort of the maximum that have been identified, and we only have, I think, was it 17? So or 18. So there's still some room. So I think this is a good start, and I think there's been some suggestions about where else to go, and it would be nice to have a full complement. I trust staff can handle a group of 25, and they have work to do. And
well, it does make a meeting difficult with that many people all maybe speaking, especially if you have people on a 2-hour time frame.
25.
That's the difficulty, but I think Councillor Sikora.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh.
Mayor Stewart was first.
Okay, Mayor Stewart, didn't see you, sorry.
Yeah, I have similar concerns because I don't know that it would, I think a full complement is not necessarily the words we needed to use here, because a full complement, 25 is an unwieldy committee for a lot of people and a lot of issues, and I think that this one might be something where each individual residents association makes representations to a committee, but I don't know if we go forward and we don't include 1 or 2 residents associations because they're not formalized and everybody else has their residents associations on, then we end up potentially leaving out some people anyway, even though we have a committee of 25. So I'm concerned about the size of the committee, and I would like council to consider that, and maybe we come up with a smaller number that is perhaps representative of the community as a whole, but not necessarily of every residents association.
Thank you. Councillor Sikora.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. With me, I think any committee that's more than 12 is unruly. I myself cannot support a committee that is 20 or 25 or even 18. It just doesn't make any sense. Probably half these people may not even turn out to some of the meetings, and you might have down to about 8 or 10. But to have a committee to start with about 18 and then you add on to it, it's just unacceptable. That's all there's to it. I've never seen a committee that worked well when there's that many people on it.
So would the council committees wish to defer this item until have staff review the list and come back with a
I
new
would move deferral.
Okay, second.
Moved and seconded. Anybody speak on deferral? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item, please.
Next item, item 4, concerns the minutes of the Coquitlam River Aggregate Committee meeting of Wednesday, February 10th. Recommendations to receive those minutes.
So moved.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That is the last formal item on the agenda.
Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're done. Thank you, everybody.